Well, welcome with the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money, pretty much everything in the sun that relates to you having a healthier, happier relationship with money. My name is Steve Sexton. I want to thank you for joining us. First of all, I want to thank everybody for sharing us with your family, friends, and associates. It's been just wonderful. You know what? This year, we've got a new president, whether you like him or not. More importantly, he has a new economic agenda. Hey, you know what? I'm going to talk about how that will disrupt the markets, what it means to the market, more importantly, what it means to you in your retirement. Now, one of the big things here is this. We have a new year. We're walking into February. We got Valentine's Day. Everybody's looking to start dating. One of the big things, you know what, and the trends in the dating market is that it's really daunting for the crowd over 45 with over 1,400 apps, AI complicating the process. We've got Andrea McGinty here. She's referred to as the godmother of matchmaking. Andrea's mentored over 40% of top matchmakers. Her credibility and success. She's a trusted voice. And you know what? She's the person you want to go to, especially if you're looking at what we call a second act dater. So she's going to help us focus on what's going on, what we can do, all sorts of things. So Andrea, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve. And people need help dating.
Oh, yeah, I definitely, you know, what's really, I was looking at your numbers. And so for everybody who doesn't know, Andrea is the founder of It's Just Lunch. Um, she created over 33,000 dates, spent over three decades defining modern matchmaking. You know what? 10,000 plus marriages to her credit. She's turning her attention to this underserved markets, which is singles over 45. So, and I also know you have a book called Winning Strategies to Dating Over 50. But Andrea, let's talk about that, you know, singles over 45. So what's the big thing there with singles over 45?
Well, it's a couple of issues, really. It's number one, it's an underserved market. Number two, people didn't expect at 45 or 50 to be single again. You know, when they walked down the aisle, maybe when they were in their 20s, early 30s, they didn't think, oh, hey, I'm going to do this again. Nobody went into it with the intention of it wasn't going to work out. So I would say the majority of people that I work with over 45, they're divorced. I have a few people that are widowed, and then I have a few people, that have been just really immersed in their career, and they've been, single this whole time with probably some significant relationships. But they wake up and it's this whole thing, like people, in their careers, a lot of time around this age, around 45, people decide, you know what, I really don't want to be an attorney anymore. I want to do this, or I want to do that. And that's where you see a lot of second acts coming in business. You see the same thing with dating. And this market, they don't understand the technology behind it. It's not like, I have 3 kids under the age of 24. I mean, they're experts at Tinder and the dating apps. They know all the ins and outs. They think AI is great. But when we start talking about, as you mentioned, 1,400 different dating platforms, it's scary for people. They don't even know where to start. Sometimes they just look at it, they're ready to start, and they just throw their hands up and say, forget it. I'm not even going to do this. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, you know what? It was interesting when we put out that we're having you on the show. We've got a large number of viewers coming in and, asking questions. And, Julie, she's from Omaha, Nebraska. She says, I've spent since I was 20 focusing on my career. I don't need to make any more money, but I realized I don't really have a life other than work. So how, I've had a few dates, but they don't last too long because they're usually, I've got to work. So now I'm looking to reduce the amount of work I do, but I also want to have a life outside of that. And she goes, I really haven't dated in 20 years. What do I do?
Exactly, because like you said, she's financially stable, and she's thinking, what is she, 40? I mean, she's probably got another 30, 40, 50 years. Who knows? I mean, people are living longer and longer. And you don't want to be lonely, and you want to have that partner. And, that's another really rampant epidemic in this country is loneliness too. And that's like with the over 40, over 50-year-old age group. So I think when people are, set in their careers, they're set in pretty much in their life. I mean, not probably at that age, not much is going to change financially, right?
Hmm.
Except probably go up, we hope.
Hmm.
But you're the expert on that. And so, now they're focused, and they can put their focus on love. And what does that mean? It could mean, I would say it breaks down in thirds. A third want marriage, a third want just living together, a third want a long-term partner to travel with, to do things with. But I see, especially my 40 something crowd, they want marriage. Now, once we get in the 50s, it's pretty split 50-50, whether they want to get married again or not, or just that long-term relationship. And once I hit that 60 crowd, it's more the companionship thing.
Well, one of the things that I'll just say this, many of the people who typed in and asked questions, they says, you know what, the reality is, I haven't done this in a long time. It was usually go have dinner with somebody, maybe spend a couple days, and that was it, and I was gone and back to my life. So I don't really know how to do this, and everything is just a little overwhelming. And she said, she goes, it's almost like I'm dealing with my, father teaching him how to use the internet again. You know, and her father's obviously a lot older, but it's just like, hey, what do you do here? And you know what? I mean, is it like a skill? You get better and better at it, or how, that type of thing.
Hmm. I don't know if you get better and better at it, because nobody really, when they call me and they want my coaching services, nobody really calls and says, I'm so excited to do online dating, Andrea. They're more like, I'm exhausted. I don't know where to start. All the good men are taken. All the good women are taken. I hear every excuse out there. So they just don't know where to begin. And really, it's gotten so much easier. When I look at, we're in 2025. When I think back to 2010, that's about the time I sold It's Just Lunch, and I started 33,000 dates. And it was right about that time online dating started to get so much better. And, if you were doing it around the year 2000 or the late 90s, it was just a chaotic mess. Now there's so many good tools online and so many good filters. But here's the thing, when we're talking about 1,400 platforms, you're going to get bummed out super fast if you don't pick the right one. That's like winning the lottery. Picking the right one, because if you pick, I don't know, something like eHarmony, and you're in New York City, you're going to be like, ugh, I'm done with this after 3 days, because that's not the right market for you. That's not the right platform in the right market for you. So each market tends to be a little bit different too. So teaching somebody, yeah, they can get better at the filters. They can get better at messaging people. That's something that I really teach, because once I've got a client on the right site, I've got the right photos, we've got the right profile. Now we're in the stage of we're messaging. And this is where people really falter. So with the messaging, they don't know what to say. And it'll
Hmm.
be like, hi, how's your weekend? Hi, how's your Monday? And it's like vanilla.
Oh,
It's boring. It's so boring. And then they're like, Andrea, I'm getting no responses. I sent like 20 messages to men or to women, and I got nothing back. And then I'll review the messages. And my new book has a whole section on messaging and even keeping a messaging log, because
hmm.
we'll figure out what you're doing wrong. Because really, for every 5 messages you send, you should get 2 replies if you're doing it right. And at
Hmm.
least one should turn it into a date.
Okay, perfect.
And
Andrea, I got to stop right there. We're going to go to break. Folks, we're going to be right back with more Andrea McGinty, some great dating advice. Okay. So, in the next part, can we talk about how to go about the right platform and what to look for, how to center it towards you? I know you don't have to give everything, but could you give somebody a semblance of how that would work? And then, the messaging. How would that work? And I know you're about to get into that, but I'd love to have you go into just a little bit more detail in the next segment. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay,
Sure. So
perfect.
you want me to focus on choosing the right platform and messaging?
Hmm. Yeah, almost like when you're looking at online dating, how should you view it? How should you look at the right platform? And then with your communication, because I've been married for I'm still married, but I mean for those people who've been married for a long time and have no clue or just starting. I mean, I have a 25 or 26-year-old son. He's doing really well in his career, but you know what? He hasn't dated. uh, so you know what? It's just like I mean, in fact, his only date was somebody that set it up for him. And that didn't work out because they were a rah-rah girl and he's an engineer.
Okay, got it, got it. You know what, Steve, if we could throw one more thing in one of the segments, because this is super important, probably even more important than the messaging, because you'll never get to the messaging if you don't have fantastic photos. We should
Oh yeah, no, let's
insert
let's
that
let's do that.
somewhere.
Let's target that part of that approach. So here we go.
Yeah.
Um, Cameron, we're doing segment number 2 with Andrea McGinty. Hey, welcome back to the Saving with Steve show where we talk about the ins and outs of money. I truly want to thank you for tuning in and appreciate you letting your friends, family, and associates know. Again, all the replays, especially this one, is available at savingwithsteve.us. If you're enjoying the stories of helpful information inside on Saving with Steve, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a show. You can also check out a few of our affiliates at UK Health Radio, BBS Radio, Talk Radio New York City, E360 TV. All these networks are dedicated to empowering you to solve problems, uplift your spirits, and live a life of personal and financial freedom. And with that, we're talking to Andrea McGinty. We're talking about dating. Folks, this is where you want to pull out the pens and papers and take notes. So, Andrea, we were just talking about how people are having a tough time with these dating apps because they really don't know what to do. And I think, like the first step with anything is how should they be looking at, getting prepared to go on a dating app? I mean, sorry, it's almost like getting prepared for a job, but I mean, you know what? How to get prepared for, how should they be looking at this?
Okay, so the first thing they should look at, and by the way, my book goes into like every single detail, and it has like 14 worksheets for people and QR codes and videos of me like coaching them through this. My
Oh,
new book that
wow.
just came out. But what I want to say before you even think about the platform, think about your photos because that will take a little bit more time. You want to have it's a visual medium, so you've got to have great photos. But these photos also have to look like you. They have to look like you now, not like you looked 10 years ago or 10 pounds ago. It's got to look like you now. So, so I would say you want to go through, your Insta, your Facebook, pull out good photos, look through your camera, and this is what you want. You want a couple of great action shots. In totality, we want 8 photos. Let me just start there. So here's what the 8 photos should look like. Whatever your interests are, you're into skiing, you're into pickleball, you're into golf, whatever it might be. We want some action shots of you doing it because you know what they say, like a picture paints 1,000 words, right? We don't have to go on and on about pickleball in our profile. We can just have a picture of, you on the pickleball court. Boom, done. You at the golf club, done. Okay, so we've got the action shots. Now we want at least one social photo, and that means you with your friends, your family, but you also want to be front and center on that photo. We don't want, the person looking at you online like, which one is he? Which one is she? So you want to be front and center. We want a full body shot of you, and we don't want your LinkedIn shots. We don't want those corporate looking shots. And I would say about 75% of my clients I end up sending to a professional photographer, and they do a 2-hour photo shoot in real space, outdoors, at their home, at wherever. If they live in New York City, it might be sitting on the steps of a museum. It could be, out kayaking. It could be doing anything. But a professional photographer, and they're not going to be in studio, so they're not going to look fake. First thing men are going to look at, your photo. First thing women are going to look at, guys, it's your photo. And photos of you in the car with a fish, in your bathroom. I don't even understand those bathroom mirror photos that men like to take. They don't go over well. Have your shirt on too, unless you're like water skiing or something, you know? So you got to start with the good photos because that takes the most amount of time usually to get my clients ready. The second piece would be the platform that you're going to be on. So,
Can I ask one more thing about the photos? You know
sure.
what? I see a lot of these photos where somebody's doing the pose or they've got this or they've got the plumped up lips or whatever, and you're going, okay, whatever. You know what? Should they just be natural, like you at a party front and center talking to people, or how would that look?
Yes, like the social shots, the shots you're pulling off your phone, they should be candids, like not posy type of photos. And when you're talking about like the big lips and stuff, where I see that more is my under 30 crowd, which I don't work that much with, but they're the ones getting the injections and those
Well,
poses.
no, I'm not talking about that where the photo focuses on the lips or they figure it's my best feature, so I'm going to do this. And it's just one of those things where you see somebody that's posed, looks like they're trying to be sexy or something like that, pouting out their lips or whatever. I'm sorry, that was probably a bad example, but I'm just saying, you know what? I'm just saying, should they be doing something like that or?
No, no, they shouldn't be doing something like that. These should be casual, fun shots. I mean, you might have one that you pull out, that's you where you're really dressed up because you were at a gala or something fancy, and that's fine to use one of those. That's kind of fun, and those are usually like full body photos. But no, you want the natural shots. You
Okay.
want I have one man. I think all he likes to do, he has like no sports, no, the only thing he likes to do is read. And we had a really fun photo shoot with him at a Barnes and Noble. Doing different shots, against pulling books off shelves, sitting there reading a book, sitting in the cafe with a book. And it went over really well, for a guy that's a bookworm and very introverted. He did really well.
Oh, good, good. Okay, so I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure, people understood that. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, so next is platform. That's a toughie to pick. So here's what I would say. You want to stick with the top 50 dating apps and dating sites, the dating platforms. So you obviously don't want to be on a Tinder. That's going to be for a much younger crowd. So a couple hints I could give you that work across the board in the US. If you're a man, a really in that 45 to 60, 65-year-old age group, a really good site for you is Bumble. Bumble generally has about 60% women, 40% men. Tends to be a more educated crowd too. They're paying money for the site. You want to make sure you're on a site that you're paying money for because everyone should have skin in the game or it's not going to work. They're not serious. So, Bumble's a nice, safe one. Okay, women, a, a safe bet would be, let me give you a couple ones. I still like Bumble, even though it has more women. For you women, I still like Bumble for you. I like Match.com. I like Match simply because its filtering capabilities are second to none. I mean, you can really drill down with the filtering. And when I'm working with clients, I also put algorithms into, and I use AI to filter for my clients. And they're the largest dating app site out there, and besides Tinder, but they're all part of the same family. They're all part of the Match.com family. So women, those would be my two go-to sites, just generally speaking. Now, if we were in a really small, much smaller market like Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Bend, Oregon, or somewhere like that, my answer would be very different. If we were in New York City or Los Angeles, I would say coffee meets bagel. And I'll have clients like in the Midwest, and they'll say, "Oh, one of my friends met her husband on Coffee Meets Bagel. That's where I want to be." And I'm like, "No, you don't, because in Chicago or Indianapolis, nobody's on Coffee Meets Bagel, but in LA and New York. So where I'm pulling my data for clients is from Pew, Gallup, and Statista. So I pay for research on a monthly basis, and I can really drill down based on their demographic, their interests, their education, income levels, all that kind of stuff. What's going to be the right site for them? So again, in my book, I go through a lot of that about choosing the right platform. And to be safe, if you're doing this on your own, you might want to choose two platforms.
Why is that?
Well, I would choose two different platforms. One platform where you're doing the seeking, like a match.com, where you're doing the looking, and then another one, maybe like an elite singles or something that's matching you. So you've got you're working with two different mediums, so to speak, and you'll find out very quickly which one's working better for you. And you know what? We're talking minor investments here too. We're talking $30, $40 a month per,
Oh,
app or site. So, your risk is very, very minimal.
oh, this is wonderful. Hey, folks, stick with us. We're going to be right back with more Andrea McGinty. Cameron, that was in this segment too. That was like perfect.
Oh, good.
Oh, yes. So, I love the fact that you keep bringing in your book, uh, and I think that's perfect.
Oh, you
Um,
want to talk about my book? Here we go.
oh no, you got it. There you go. That's perfect. We'll do that the second. We'll do that in the last segment.
Sure.
Could we talk about branding yourself? How it?
Oh,
Let's talk about that. And then let's see. We got to reset, and let's
yeah.
go.
Steve, I've got two worksheets in the book that are about branding, and they're about writing a business plan for your personal life, because that's really important too. And that goes right along with branding and kind of an elevator speech. So maybe we can throw all three of those in one.
Let's do that. Let's do that. And
Okay.
the last segment I want to do is go into how to be your own online influencer.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. And here we go. Oh, I'm still recording. Hey, Cameron, here we go. Segment 3 with Andrea McGinty. And here we go. Hello. Welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. Appreciate you letting us know that your friends and your family all about us. You know what? We're close to the almost over that $1 million, not $1 million mark, but that million listener mark, which is gigantic in our marketplace. And I want to thank you for doing that. I appreciate if you could check out a few of our affiliates at UK Health Radio, which encompasses almost 56 countries, BBS Radio, Talk Radio New York City, Las Vegas TV networks. All these networks, they're dedicated to empowering you to solve problems, uplift your spirit, and live a life of personal financial freedom. By the way, you can go to our Facebook at Saving with Steve Sexton for our Insiders Club. You can see the behind the scenes stuff where we talk about what's going on, what we're going to talk about next. You can get gifts, all sorts of stuff. In fact, Andrea has a book. It's called Winning Strategies for Dating Over 50. And you know what? We're going to talk about that in the next segment. But you're also going to be able to get a link there to where you can go get the book and all that kind of good stuff. So with that, Andrea, thanks for being here. Let's talk about why branding yourself is the new secret to dating success. And obviously, we got a few other things. So let's go right there.
Yeah, I'm a business person, and I go about this. I mean, I love what I do. I mean, I'm, the whole helping people with online dating and my matchmaking background and everything. But, at heart, I'm a business person, and I look at everything very strategically. How are we going to do this the best? And when it's you and it's your personal life, it's very emotional and it's hard to be objective. And that holds true for men and women. It doesn't matter, which sex you are. So you've got to go about this very strategically. And so I'm a big proponent of using worksheets. And one worksheet that I start with my clients with is personal branding. And what I want them to do there is really sit down, and this is hard for people because they have to kind of think objectively about themselves, and who are they, what are they, and not in their professional life but in their personal life. And one thing that I encourage them to do when we're doing personal branding is to reach out to 5 friends, and not by phone, but by text, and ask their friends tell them, hey, I'm doing online dating and I'd like 5 adjectives from you that really, or statements about me that you really think, fit me. And you can't say, like, I'm fun, I'm nice, I have a sense of humor, because those are too general. Okay, so people get these 5 statements back from like 5 friends. So they've got like 25 of these.
I'm
And
already
this,
going, oh my God.
oh, you know what? Usually they're like, wow, I didn't know my friends thought that about me. It's a feel good exercise too, but it helps you with personal branding. Who am I? What am I really looking for? What do they see me as? Sometimes people are really surprised when the word caretaker keeps coming up over and over again. And that may have been the reason some of their relationships didn't work out, because
Oh,
they're too much of that. So we learn a lot from a personal branding exercise going through that. um, the other thing that I do that I love, and this is like kind of it's at the beginning of coaching, but one of the last worksheets I go over is we do a business plan for your personal life. And business plans now, if you're doing a business plan really for a business, people aren't doing those long business plans anymore, unless they're looking for private equity money or something. But they're one sheeters. And that's exactly what I have in my book too, a one sheet business plan. And this is going over, okay, what are my goals? How am I going to get there? Who's my competition? I mean, that's a weird thing to think about with your personal life. Who's my competition? Um, what am I really looking for? And there's about 8 elements. What are barriers for me? What's in the way? Oh, maybe I've got 2 kids that are still at home, or I'm helping with my ailing father at home. What could stop you? So we're going about this very strategically, so that once we get on the platform, we know what we're doing and we know what our goal is. Is our goal, you just got divorced and you just want to date a lot and see what's out there because you were married for 20 years? Is it, I'm ready for that long-term relationship, or I want to get married? And of course, you're not going to say that on the first date. You're not going to say that in your profile. This is for me to know and you to know, so that the process we're going through and this type of messaging we're doing is reflecting what we really want.
hmm. You know what? It's so funny. You know what? I'm just gonna say that I haven't dated in years because I'm happily married and all that stuff. But back in the day when I was dating, and somebody told me this is exactly what I want, it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh crap!"
Oh, oh no, Steve, you don't tell them that. You tell me that.
Oh no,
You
no, I
might.
understand that. I just that was the first thought when you said have that. I was like, oh my. But I get it from what your perspective is. If you understand what's really important to you and what you really want, then when you start dating people, you can decide whether that person makes sense as a fit for you. Right.
Right, because if I've got somebody who's been married for 25 years and they're 45, 48 years old, you know what? They need to go on some practice dates. That's just the reality. So,
Hmm.
you know what? We're not thinking, the first 5 dates is going to be the one that you're going to end up with long term. We need you just out there practicing, because you haven't been out in the marketplace for a long time. You've been off the market. And those practice dates just really elevate your level of confidence. Just like anything,
Hmm.
practice leads to confidence. And once you realize, oh, I still have social skills, I can still talk, beyond talking to my guy friends or my girlfriends or whatever, I've still got it. And, then we can start looking for the one.
I think, well, you know what? I think that's very interesting because I would think that, what do you say? And you talked about this earlier, how are you doing? What's your day? How do you get deeper questions than that? So you can just, what is it? I don't know because I've been married.
Okay, so are we talking about like on the date?
Yeah, so somebody they're in their 45, 50 range and they you know what, they're going on their very first date after being divorced. And you know what? you know, do you come out and say, I just got divorced? How do you, I have no clue because I'm not
Yeah.
that brave.
Well, you're not going to come out and say you just got divorced. And here's what I would say, just to be easy, go out for drinks. And if you're doing a drink, a really good time is like 4 or 5 o'clock on like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because it doesn't mean you're having dinner or anything. And people tend to get a little more relaxed when it's just a drink. I don't like coffee dates personally because to me they're cop out dates. It's kind of like, I could be out of here in 20 minutes. I'm really not taking this seriously. Like, really, Starbucks is the place for romance? I think not. So I think a drink is safe. And then what are you going to sit down and say? You're going to be like, oh, hi, it's so nice to meet you. So where are you from? I mean, it just comes out, like, so where are you from? Oh, I read in your profile you have like 7 brothers and sisters. Oh my gosh, wow. I mean, the conversations should start flowing. What are you gonna talk about? Movies, books, the Super Bowl. I don't know. You're gonna talk about stuff like that. The first date is not when you're gonna talk about why you're 45 and still single, or why you're 45 and you've just been divorced 2 months, and what a horrible acrimonious divorce you had, and that you're still going through child custody battles. No, that is so inappropriate. Think about, you're at a cocktail party. What would you say to somebody at a cocktail party? You're just mixing with people. You would not be like, so how long have you been married? What happened to your marriage? No, you would not say that. You'd be like, oh, where are you from? Why are you
Oh,
here? How long have you lived in Colorado? Whatever, conversation like that. And then it just kind of flows from there. So you stay away from that inappropriate stuff.
uh-huh.
I mean, that will come up eventually. I mean, it just will. Maybe it's the fourth date, maybe it's the fifth date, but it's not appropriate on the first
It's
date.
something where
Oh,
some foundation is developed. Because the funny
right.
thing is, I actually got an email in reference to that, and I actually got it after the last time you were on the show. And the gentleman said she wanted to be honest and upfront with me. She just got divorced. She's got this. She's got that. And he was like, "Oh my!" From the beginning, your eyeball. He goes, "Yeah, I think my eyeballs." And it was kind of like a tear talk. And
Oh
he
yeah,
goes,
the other thing you don't want to talk about, like a lot of people that are like 50, and I think that's relatively young, and they'll talk about, I might have to get a knee replacement. I'm like, what? Why are you
"Oh."
talking about that on a first date? Like, nobody cares about your medical problems.
Mhm.
I mean, until you're in a relationship, but they're just like inappropriate conversation topics.
Oh, I just thought it was funny the way she or the way it was said. I was just like, really? They actually said that? I mean, I would never say stuff like that, but the person just felt they wanted to be honest. It's like, wow. Okay. But hey, folks, this has been fun so far. We're going to be talking about the next segment in just a moment because we've got to take a break. So stick with us and be right back. We have more Andrea McGinty. So, oh, geez.
Oh boy. Oh, people are fascinating to me.
Well, you know what? Living in a world where I'm talking to people all the time, I do get a kick out of that because it's funny. I actually had, um, I have a lot of older clients in their mid 70s and stuff, and some of the single ladies are like, if he's got hair in his ears, no.
If he's got what?
Hair on the hair in his ears, oh no.
Oh.
And I was like, and they're telling me stuff like that. I'm like, okay. I mean, they know I'm married and all that stuff, but they're just like, because yeah, that won't work for me. But if you know anybody like not like that, I'm in. I'm like,
And you know what? I even work with women in their 70s, and I've had several get married and several that are in long-term relationships. 70, it's
oh,
not like what it was for our parents or our grandparents.
hmm. Well, you know what? My mom's mom, first husband passed away. She got remarried and was with him and actually outlived him. She was 96 when she passed, but she had a great second marriage. And she was fun. So,
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I was married for 24 years and I've lived all of this and got divorced, didn't date for 5 years, and got married in November in Italy. He
That's
was my
awesome.
sixth online date. Yep.
Oh, I'll tell you what, let's go into the next segment before I take too long here.
Okay.
Hey, Cameron, we're in segment 4 with Andrew McGinty. This has been a lot of fun, so I haven't paused anything. So, folks, here we go. Hello, welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we're talking about the ins and outs of money. You know what? I'm just going to get right to it. Besides saying thank you, and check out our affiliates at UK Health Radio, BBS Radio, Talk Radio, New York City, and Las Vegas TV network here. We have Andrew McGinty. We've been talking about dating, matchmaking for people over 45. Andrea's got this wonderful book about dating after the age of 50. But let's talk about how to be your own online influencer in the dating world. And I think that, just to hear that, most people don't think themselves as an influencer, because I definitely, don't see that if I was in the dating world, in which I'm not. How does that work? What should people be doing there?
Oh, this is where people fall down too because they're a little shy about the whole thing, or too humble about it, or too self-deprecating. I mean, you don't want to be a braggart, online, because nobody's going to like you. But at the same time, when you're going to be a good influencer, and that means good at self-promotion. Where this really is going to come out is, well, we already talked about photos. But where this is going to come out is the first couple of lines of your bio or your profile on the dating platform that you're on. So you want to come out, boom, with like a quirky statement, an outrageous statement, but that's true about you. And I'll tell you why. Um, First I'll talk about men. When men go online, the first thing they do is look at the photos. Okay, you've passed the photo test, check. Now they're going to look at your bio. Men don't read. They do not write a novel, do not write paragraphs and paragraphs for this man. All you need to write is probably 3 lines that are going to grab their attention, and then a couple bullet points, and then let's meet for a drink. That's it. Boom. That's being a good influencer, because you're leaving them wanting more. You're giving them a little bit, and now the messaging is going to start, and you're going to end up, hopefully, on a first date with this person. So you've got to come out with good statements. Okay. Same thing, women. They're going to look at the man's photo too. Of course, got to pass that mark first. And then same thing, men, you've got to come out with something really interesting. And interesting is not, I can't believe I'm online doing this. I never thought I'd do this. Or if you are a MAGA person, do not bother responding to this. Those are not lines you want to like open with on your on your profile. You want to come out with, something really interesting, like, oh, okay, 2 truths and a lie, and put 3 things out there and let people guess. I mean, that's fun. And people will write interesting things, and you'll be like, geez, I don't know which one is the lie of these 3. That can be a good, icebreaker opener, and that's where you are being your own influencer, and all that means is you're doing a good job at self promotion. You don't want to go into your family history. You don't want to go into previous relationships, and you don't want to sound like a travel log. I love Italy, Paris, London. I can't tell you how many people do that. Unless you're writing something really unique, like, oh, you just climbed Everest, and you nearly froze at the base camp, or something, something that's like nobody else has really done. You can put something like that.
Hmm.
But you got to stick with interesting, quirky, and quirky does not mean weird. Quirky is just means really unique.
Okay. So basically the key here is to help somebody engage you by what you say. So they'll say, hey, you know what? It'd be interesting to find out more. And I'm willing to invest, an hour or so for a drink.
Exactly.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
Okay, so here's the next question. And a lot of people ask this. How do you finish out that first date? What do you say? What, like, everybody word, like, I'm a business guy. What's the next step? Okay. So, in the personal relationship dating world, and again, I'm married happily for a very long time, so it's not going to change my life. But for those people who are dating, what's that, how do you finish things out? Because, I mean, again, I'm going back 30 years. That was kind of weird always at the end. So what's next?
Okay, I would say about 50% of people are on the right page and they both know it went really well. So at the end of the day, it'd be like, this was really fun. And maybe you talked about hiking. Do you want to go hiking Saturday at, XYZ? Do you want to, say it right then and there? Because you know what? You both liked each other. All right, so now let's go to the other 50% where you're not sure. Okay, so there's going to be the ones where he liked her, she didn't like him. And he may say something like, let's get together again. This was, amazing, or something like that. And she could just say, I really enjoyed meeting you. I'm really new to this, so I'm just kind of getting my feet wet still. Just say it in a
Hmm.
really nice way. A lot of times, though, you don't even have to do that. At the end of the day, you can just say, it could be very general, like, oh, we have to do this again sometime, which probably means never. But it also, if one of you is super interested, it still leaves a door open that you can send a text later that night or the next day saying, I was thinking about it. I had a really great time with you. I was thinking I've got tickets to, something Saturday night. Would you be interested in going? And then you'll know very quickly, she'll say, oh, that sounds terrific. I'd love to. Or, oh, I'm booked. It was really nice, meeting you. I just don't really think we're a match, but I wish
Okay.
you the best of luck. So you
Okay.
want to be honest, you want to be kind, and you never want to go into an explanation about why you don't want to go on another date. And some
Uh-uh.
people tell me, you know, he really liked me, Andrea. I think I should, he wants to go out again. I think I should just call him and tell him why I don't want to go out with him. And I'm like, why? Why would you want to do that? You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. No, you are not doing that. You're just going to send, just a nice text. It was so nice to meet you. I'm new to this. I'm just starting out dating. I wish you the best.
Hmm. You know what? You just like, I actually had 50 emails asking that.
Oh,
So
yep.
that's, for people like they're getting into it, or, I've been dating, but I never know how to finish something out nicely. And there's always one that she has a habit of telling people why. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, I have people that they'll hug at the end of the date. I'll have people that'll have a little kiss at the end of the date. I mean, that date went really well. They're definitely going out again. So it just kind of depends how it goes.
So now here's the thing. You know what? I know you have a book. So could you pull out the book, make sure it goes right in front? Oh, there it is. A little forward. Perfect right there. Second Acts, Winning Strategies for Dating Over 50. So tell everybody about the book, the worksheets in there, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, it's chock full of worksheets.
Little
Whoa.
forward. You got to move forward. Oh,
Well,
you're
you know what? That's okay. So it's so yes, I was so excited when I wrote this book. I haven't written a book since 2005, and believe me, I've amassed a lot more knowledge. I think over 20 years, and I just I had my publisher like bugging me the last couple of years to write it, and all of a sudden last year I was ready, and I think it was that I felt like I had the knowledge to share with people. I had really strategic ways people could go about this. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. There's no psychobabble, there's no fluffy stuff in there. People say I'm really direct, and I probably am, but they always also say I'm graciously direct. So, and the only reason I'm so direct in the book, and it's pretty funny too, because I share a lot of stories of real things that happened on dates, But I want you to learn from other people, and there's actionable worksheets in there that you're going to fill out. Some of them we already talked about, but there's 14 of them, and really, you probably don't even need me as a coach if you go through this and do this right. And there's QR codes that go with each of the worksheets where you get like 5 minutes of me like explaining further than the book about some techniques and some different things you can do when you're online dating. And part of online dating too, and I talk about this. One of my first worksheets is state of mind. Like, what's your how positive are you? Are you really ready to date again? And I have conversations. People call me and want my coaching services, and I make them do a 15-minute call with me first to really feel out if they're ready for this. And sometimes I'm like, I don't think you're ready. You just got out of a relationship. I've been doing this for a long time. Call me in 6 months. I'll still be here. And you've got to have the right mindset, and you've got to have a certain amount of resilience too, because I find people with online dating, they all want to give up after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, everybody wants to stop. I'm like, no, you're not stopping, because I want you to give it 3 months. Be a little patient with it, because you're learning too, still, as you're doing this. And inevitably, when I'm on the phone with a client, we're doing a coaching session, and he'll say to me, Andrea, I was on the site and I went through it. There are 0 women for me. And by the time the hour's over, I'm like, Mark, we found 8 women for you. And he's like, I know, I don't think they were there earlier this week. I'm like, I think they were, and you just weren't, I'm teaching a technique, and how you have to look at people, and how you also have to keep it really clean with online dating. If you see somebody you're interested in, immediately message them. If you see somebody you're not interested, immediately block them and delete them so they don't keep popping up. So, again, I'm very strategic in the book, and I give all these tips. So it's
Okay.
second acts, um, winning strategies for dating over 50.
Okay. Two things. Where can
Yeah.
people get your book? And the second thing is, if somebody wants to use your coaching, how do they get in contact with you?
Okay, to get my book, you can get it anywhere. So, I would say your best bet is Amazon. I mean, you're going to get it the same day or the next day. They really have the best price. So you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it at bookstores too. And then to get me, you can reach me at 33,000dates.com, and it's 33000dates.com. And easy way to remember that is that's how many dates I've set up in my life. It's actually more like 36,000 now, but the name of the company is 33,000dates.com. And there you can click off a box and you learn a little bit more about me. And then if you're interested, schedule a 15-minute call with me, and we can talk about you and your situation, and, if we're a good fit together.
That's perfect. Andrea, thank you so much for being here. This has been a lot of fun, even though I'm not in the dating world. This has been a lot of fun just listening to or seeing all the emails and the responses I'm getting, and just be able to ask you questions. I know our viewers are going to just love this. So thank you so much for being here. And folks, we're going to have the link to Andrea's book on our website and her information. So if you want to get in contact with her for coaching or the book, you can obviously go and do that. So with that, Andrea, I want to thank you for joining us today. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Here we
Thanks,
go.
Steve.
Perfect. This is perfect. Thank you.
Great.
This has been
No,
fun, Andrea. This is great.
that was totally fun. Thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Hmm.
Do you need like a shot of me in the book
I would love
for?
that. I would
Okay,
love that. I would love that if I can get a shot with you in the book that we can put on our website. That'd be great, and we do it right next to the link. And
perfect.
then if you could also send we probably have it, but if you could send your a link for your website too, that would be great.
Sure. Okay,
And
I'd
the
be
the
happy to.
last but not least is my son. He's 26. He's got the master's in engineering, top of the class. He's killing it at his company. They're sending him all over the world, but he's really. I think he wants to date, wants to go out, but he's an engineer. Would there be a good book or something like that that I could refer him to?
You know what? This book, ironically, I've got a bunch of people in their 20s and 30s who have bought the book, and they've even done reviews on Amazon on the website and said, I don't know why you say this is for over 50, because I think 20-year-olds could use this. Where does he live?
He lives in San Diego.
Oh, okay. Oh, San Diego is such a good market for him. Um, as far as meeting people. Um, Steve, just tell him to call me, sign up, and I'm not going to take him as a client, but let me give him some tips. Um,
Okay.
I'll just spend a few minutes, like 15, 20 minutes with him and give him some tips, unless he'll be embarrassed to call me. But he shouldn't be. I'll just be happy to like kind of point him in the right direction, because probably where he wants to go is Hinge or Tinder. But there's a couple of things I would want to tell him about what to do on Hinge and what to do on Tinder.
Okay.
Um,
He's a
like,
very faith-based kid, likes to go to church every Sunday, all that kind of stuff.
okay, so then I think he's more a Hinge kid.
I know he's not Tinder.
Yeah, he'd probably do. Well, Tinder has this one part that's Tinder Premium. It's not the hookup part. So, but still, I would say Hinge is probably going to be right for him, and even maybe Bumble. I would have to look at the numbers in San Diego, but both both of those could be good. The one that's a little faith-based. Well, there's two. There's Christian Mingle, and then there's eHarmony. No to both of them for him.
I was gonna say
They'll
everybody I know in Christian Mingle, that's more of a Tinder.
Oh, you know what? It's I have never had a good success story come out of Christian Mingle, and same with eHarmony. Number one, he's too young for eHarmony, and number two, the numbers have just fallen off on that one, and it's not strong in San Diego. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking Hinge is probably best. But if he even
Okay.
wants me to look at his photos or anything, Steve,
Mhm.
happy to.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll talk to him. I don't know if he'll be embarrassed or what, but if it's okay, I'll send him I'll give him your email. So if he reaches out, he'll reach out and then go from there. I'm not trying to push him in there, but you know what? Um,
Right,
but
right.
he's doing what I used to do because I developed businesses all over the place. And it wasn't until I had a cancer diagnosis that I said, I'm done at 5 and I don't work weekends anymore. So, and I was already married at the time. So, and I met my wife through work and dated the old way
Yep,
in bars.
yep, right, right.
So, when I worked so much, my relationships lasted 3 weeks because I was kind of the jet setter, because I was always going somewhere. And my worst part about my dating is I would get a phone call and have to take it during dinner. I'd have to say,
Uh,
excuse me on a cell phone. Now, it was cool that Steve had a cell phone when nobody else did, but it wasn't cool after about a week and a half and they realized I was married to the phone and the work and all that stuff.
right, exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, so if he wants to talk or he wants to email me, if whatever he's more comfortable with or not,
Mhm.
happy to talk to him.
Okay, and I'm going to buy him the book. Just, he might be annoyed with me, but he'll probably read it.
Yeah, just have it sent directly to him from Amazon, and then you don't have to hand it to him.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be talking to him on the weekend and I'll provide him your information. And I appreciate you being on the show because I think this is one that'll probably get a lot of people who look and see and all that stuff. And hopefully it creates a bigger volume of people purchasing your book and using your coaching.
Thank you. It was nice being back, and you're a good interviewer, and it's a pleasure.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I was just thinking this, you know how people want to have a date for New Year's? Would you be open to doing something in November?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, for sure. Because you know what? Not only do they want to date for New Year's, they don't want to go home to Thanksgiving dinner where everyone's asking them about their love life, or Hanukkah or Christmas where they're getting the same family questions. So yeah,
Mhm.
sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a whole different subject, I've got plenty to talk about on that.
Okay.
How to make it easier. Yeah.
So when we get closer, probably September, October, I will jump in and send you an email and see if you're good to go
Okay,
there. Okay, great. Hey,
sounds
look,
good.
you have a wonderful time and we'll see you, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Steve. Take
All right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.